Scarpins Avenue.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Sklar Country, the virus edition, aka the Panty Pods,
AKA one egg, four legs,
aka useless blooper meddlers and doofus super spreaders. Thank you, aka man Mike Huddleston, aka Huddletron, aka Huddlestein,
AKA Old Zealand.
There you go. That's him. Contributing from afar and wide. And other people have sent some in, and for some reason I can't collect them. If you just go to hashtag AKA Sklarbro, maybe we'll just gather them that way and send your AKAs. We'll do them.
Are we tilted?
We're not tilted. Even if we are, I'm sorry.
We're
tilted to the left.
Look, life's
always.
We're a little tilted to the left. Life's a little off kilter right now, but
it really is. But we're here to kind of. Here's the thing. By doing this show, I feel like we need to say this. By doing this show, we are not trying to distract you from the serious stuff that is happening in this world. And there's some really bad, serious stuff happening in the world. Like, I don't know, the failure to peacefully transfer power if our dumbass president loses. That's ridiculous. Our buddy Rex Chapman said that's like if an NBA team refused to accept that they lost a game.
Right.
And stayed up there to receive the trophy afterwards. Like that would never happen. No. You're a loser, so leave. But that's bad. And we understand that's bad. And we do this show with that in our hearts, knowing how rough
that drives us. That's the driving motivation behind us to try and hopefully seek good in this world.
So that's what we're here to try and do. And so let's give it a crack and see if we can't get
We got to take shots at people who are idiots. And this first story today,
this
serves it up on a platter.
Yep.
Okay, look, if you decide to become a doctor, you are making a commitment for life.
We know. We have friends that have made that commitment, gone to
my brother-in-law has done it. Look,
you go to 10 years of your life before you even get anything.
You go to a decade of school more than most people do. You learn about every possible field of medicine
before you settle on your specialty.
You become acutely aware of the dangers and precautions that people need to take if they're going to remain healthy in normal times. In other words,
by the way, you're the most precautious.
Right, because you know what can
cautious
happen.
And precautious.
Well, you know
what,
a word. They're both words. You know what can happen if you let yourself get 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah, you know because you've studied it on every level.
You know what can happen if you smoke or you vape for decades. You know what can happen to you if you do meth. You lose your teeth.
You know what can happen to you if you go out for one night with Gary Busey. It is life-threatening.
You know what can happen to you if you decide to move to Pensacola, Florida.
Again, life-threatening.
So that is why it always baffles us when we hear about a doctor who chooses to ignore the mask mandate.
How do
in
we
his
know,
or her office because they think they know better.
How do we know better than you? And we didn't go to a decade of med school, Jay.
You don't need to look a person who's walking around saying, you don't need to be so uptight about this mask thing.
Be uptight about it.
I think you can err on the side of caution, and no one will fault you for it, doctor.
You're a doctor, dummy.
Look,
you're Dr. Dummy.
And look, a lot of doctors have God complexes.
You think I have a God complex? I am God.
Baldwin. Malpractice? Was that malpractice?
I think so.
Brilliant. Well, sometimes the universe has a way of repaying those people who decided to be above the law and who feel like they're invincible in the face of the pandemic.
I know no one's going to correct you at your hospital because you do have the God complex and you talk down to everybody, including lab technicians and other nurses and whatnot.
And certainly patients. Like we've definitely been in hospital situations, and you're never more vulnerable than if you're a caretaker or you're in the hospital and you're sick or your mom is sick or your dad is sick. And
you have to ask them questions and they seem annoyed by the questions you're asking because you just want to know what's going on with your
You want to be as hopeful as possible and they're talking down to you. It's like, don't talk down to me. I'm in a very vulnerable situation. Obviously, I'm uptight. The person that I love is in a very difficult situation. They might die. They might not die. Their life might be completely altered. Like you have to think of that when you talk to people.
So what I'm saying is I'm sure no one can check you at the hospital, but guess who's going to check you? Nature. The world will check you in this situation.
Next story proves it. Okay. Patients intending to go to the EAU at the O'Gallie
Medical Center.
Medical Center in Melbourne. I think it's Florida.
It is Florida.
This
Melbourne.
week have been met with a grim note at the door since Monday. Dr. John J. Magri.
Dr. John
J. Magri IV passed away on the morning of Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. For privacy of his family, patients, and loved ones, the cause of death is unknown at this time.
I think it's known.
I think it's
Jay. I think we know why.
You just don't want to admit that he was an idiot, and that's what did him in. For former patients and neighbors, the feeling has been one of shock and disbelief.
And probably a little relief.
Concern upon learning that Magri tested positive for coronavirus. After his death.
They're concerned because this guy wasn't wearing a mask, and then they might now have
There you go. It's coronavirus. That's what did him in.
If it killed this guy.
I can't believe that. I just saw him last month. I just can't believe it. He was so relaxed about masks, and he works in an office where sick people come. I just can't believe that he contracted a very contagious virus that's out there in the world.
I'm sorry. Did I say I just can't believe it? I mean, I totally can believe that.
And according to our president, masks don't have to be worn. No. I just don't get how he could have possibly gotten sick.
And young people can't get sick.
Magri, 59. Not so young, but really only 10 years older than us.
Yeah.
Was infected with the novel coronavirus when he died at home last week. A positive test result was confirmed by the Brevard County Medical Examiner Office postmortem.
Yeah, because guess what? That disease kills people. It's actually more serious than this doctor was taking it.
We know that, and we didn't go to medical school. When 200,000 people die in a country, you're like, okay, that's a pretty dangerous disease.
Maybe let's take some extra. Every time I go to the doctor,
make me wear. Now, I just went to the doctor last week because I had a tiny little.
I got to go to the dentist tomorrow. I'm afraid I'm going to have to get into a hazmat suit in order for this guy to do it.
Investigator Craig Engelson said that the cause of death determination has not finalized and noted Magri had other underlying health issues. Wait, aren't people underlying health issues, like with people who have underlying health issues, the most vulnerable to coronavirus?
So this guy had underlying health issues.
Why are we protecting him? Like as an investigator, I understand you have to wait to see what's going on, but why don't we go ahead and just put it out there that
let's use him as an example.
Yeah. Corona was probably the reason why this guy died.
Yeah.
So why don't we all be a little more careful? How about that?
Yeah. Or if he only worked from home.
Yeah. Or enforced mask wearing in his doctor's office, maybe would have been fine. It is unclear if Magri knew if he was positive for the virus when he was seeing patients.
Yeah, I'm sure he knew it.
If he knew, though, he's an asshole.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's the one thing that's clear. He's an asshole.
If he knew, he's an asshole. If he didn't know, he's an idiot. Those aren't two great choices.
Do you want your doctor to be an asshole or an idiot?
One of his patients said she never noticed him or nurses in the office wearing masks.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So I got news for you. Don't go to that doctor.
You're a doctor's office, okay? Most of the people coming to you during a pandemic are sick.
Or have pre-existing conditions themselves.
Wouldn't you want to protect against anything that they have, even in a selfish, dickish way?
No.
Someone was quoted as saying, I kind of like that. It's the one place we could go without feeling, it's the end of the world. Well, it kind of was the end of the world for Dr. Magri.
For this guy.
For this dude.
And by the way, could be the end of the world for you. When was the last time you saw him, dummy?
But at least it felt good for you to know.
I'm glad that it feels good. I hope that, you know what else feels great? What's going to feel great is you get to take a nice long rest in a pine box.
That's right.
That feels great.
You might want to get tested.
You don't have to worry about not having to wear a mask at Costco anymore when you're 6 feet underground, dummy.
Yeah, when you're dead, you know what's really cool about being 6 feet underground?
You don't have to go to the doctor's office anymore.
Well, also, isn't the distance between people 6 feet? So even if someone's laying on the ground, they can't give you COVID when you're dead and you're 6 feet under.
You're social. That's
the ultimate social distancing, being buried in the ground.
I love it.
Other former patients and neighbors noted that while beloved Dr. Magri took a relatively relaxed approach to pandemic precautions, in particular wearing masks, this is not a virtue.
Yeah, this is a shortcoming. This is a guy who didn't take things seriously.
He's not beloved for this. Patient Amanda Williams of Indy Atlantic noted that in an email to Florida Today that she didn't see anyone wearing masks among the staff and didn't notice any coronavirus signage posted when she visited with her daughter September 12th. That is a few days ago.
Jesus Christ.
4 days before his death.
If you see that, you walk in, you walk out. You walk right out.
She wrote, I felt very uneasy, but chose to stay in hopes that we would be in and out quickly.
What? In and out quickly? This isn't Starbucks. Like,
you can't outrun the virus. The virus doesn't care if you're there for 5 minutes or if you inhale it for 1 second, you're done. Williams said she found out through a mutual friend that Magri had died and tested positive for the virus post-mortem. She said she is concerned that she has not been contacted by coronavirus contact tracers from the Department of Health. This is how it spreads. People don't get contacted and they just keep going out there and spreading it around. Come on.
Listen to what she said. She said, once you're called back to the patient room, Dr. Magri introduced himself without a mask and offered to shake my hand. What the hell?
What the hell is that?
Jesus, I bet he doesn't even scrub in. This is how it spreads, dummies.
My concern is community spread, and at the time it's taking to the time it's taking to be notified.
Your doctor's office shouldn't be a super spreader.
Right. Our family has been tested and are self-quarantined since September 18th when we received the news that some of the staff had tested positive. We will continue to self-quarantine until we hear the results of our test. Why does this woman have more reverence for the virus than a doctor?
Yeah, well, she's still alive.
And he isn't.
That's right.
The Department of Health of Brevard County, in an emailed statement, said the department is not able to comment on ongoing investigations or contact tracing results.
Why wouldn't they be able to comment on it?
Shouldn't they be commenting all over the place on this, Rand?
Shouldn't they be saying, hey, guys, everybody, we're investigating why this guy died. It's probably COVID, so if you were with him,
Shouldn't
don't go
they
out.
scare sick people back into their houses for 2 weeks? They should be getting anyone and everyone who has ever attended that clinic and everyone who has had contact to go get tests.
Do you know what that's called? That's called contact tracing. Why are we trying to hide this in order to protect a dead doctor?
What are you covering up? Now is the time to comment. Now is not the time to be silent.
And that's the problem with something like this, that this guy is was a doctor.
Right. And to the average person, this is the point of the story. To the average person, he's got the knowledge. He's the guy they've been listening to their whole lives.
And he sounds like he was a nice guy.
People liked him. They had no reason to believe that he was a nut job or a fool.
But he acted like a fool irresponsibly and in the most critical time.
Right. But because he's a doctor, Rand, he gave people who are looking for reasons to not wear the mask. He gave them reasons. Like he gave them an excuse
to go out to Costco and not wear a mask.
He's my doctor, doesn't wear a mask. Yeah. Why should I have to wear a mask?
Why the hell should I?
It's an infringement on my freedoms.
Hey, you know what else is an infringement on your freedom?
What's that?
Being dead.
Oh yeah.
The inability to breathe.
That's like jail. Being dead is like jail. Only the cell is a tiny little wooden box.
Tiny little jail cell.
Smaller than a jail cell. Being dead is like the ultimate solitary confinement. And it's several thousand life sentences.
And when your family visits you, they don't get to talk to you.
You don't get conjugal visits.
No time in the yard. Well, you're in the yard. You're down in the yard, but you're done.
So you can stop bitching about your freedoms and keep acting like you don't need to wear a mask. And, maybe like this medical professional, before the year is done, you can be done.
Before the year is done, you can be done.
You can be done. And this is it. This is why that nurse we talked about the other day is an awful person. It's like, it's bad when it comes from some crazy radio host, or it's bad when it comes from Tucker Carlson or someone like that.
But it's worse when it comes from a doctor.
A doctor?
That's like more betraying.
Because now everyone who wants that reason
will point to that doctor.
This guy says I don't have to.
But guess
you know
what?
This guy doesn't get to say anything anymore because he's dead from it.
That's right. Let's get a comment from him now. Oh, wait.
It's getting real quiet over there.
All right, that's our first story. When we come back, we have a story of a Michigan Daredevil. Yeah, I said it, a Michigan Daredevil. Don't know what that means? We're going to find out right after this. This is Sklar Bro Country, the Virus Edition. Stay with us. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It is Tuesday. We had as we mentioned yesterday, a great live Dumb People Town over the weekend.
Fantastic.
Mike Birbiglia, Mike Doty. It's sold out. I love it. We just announced at that show who our guest is going to be for November 7th. We're telling you now.
We got your plans for Saturday, November 7th. This is the weekend after the election. So you're either going to be celebrating, or you're going to be miserable and you need a distraction.
So
we got it for you.
This is it. We got you taken care of. Our guest is John Hamm, the great John Hamm, from everything that he's done.
From Mad Men, from Saturday Night Live, from every freaking show, from
Bridesmaids. It's incredible. So it's John Hamm with musical guest Tennis, the band Tennis. How about a little Hamm and Tennis, anyone? Might be nice. Get your tickets now, eventbrite.com, Live Dumb People Town, look it up. Also, our YouTube page, please subscribe. Check out we're putting up old cheap seats on there.
Old Dumb People Town.
Old Dumb People Town. So spend some time, tool around. It's free. It's fun. Subscribe to it. We'd love to have you on there and watch as many videos as you can. All right. We're going to now show you how old we are. We could tell you how old we are.
And we are old.
But we're going to show you how we say it all the time on here. When we hear some middle-aged man got caught trying to make love to a parking meter, he's 55 years old. It sounds like it's really old.
Or like a 52-year-old woman like takes a dump in like a garbage can in somebody's property.
Right.
We're like, 52. That's
an old bad. No, that's not. That's 3 years older than us coming up.
They would have been seniors in high school when we were
freshmen.
That is crazy to me.
But we are old enough to say that, and this will tell you how old we are. And anybody who's watching this who's this age will say, I did that too.
We can
tell you our weekend TV viewing, and that is like basically a generation of kids.
So it's 4 hours of TV.
Okay.
Every weekend.
On Friday night, the two shows we watched back to back were Dukes of Hazzard and Incredible Hulk.
Which came first? I think it was
Hulk was later because it was a little bit sadder, a little bit darker. Okay. It's the descent into, and then the next
Saturday night when parents went out, usually
Love Boat and Fantasy Island. And then Saturday Night Live later, but Love Boat and Fantasy Island. That's what we watched when we were 10, 11, 12 years old. Why are we watching Love Boat? It just was or Fantasy Island. It was just so
there was
weird.
Something fun about it.
But just
we watched a little Solid Gold earlier. We watched a lot of TV.
And Denny and Dance Fever. But why do we like Dukes of Hazzard? It just, why the hell would that interest us in some way? It was just weird. And now it's like nostalgic TV, like a rallying TV show for the far right because they have the stars and bars on the goddamn car.
Yeah. The General Lee.
Even though the leanings of the show.
The car was called the General Lee.
Even though the leanings of the show were distinctly left. Like these guys.
Well, it was anti-cop.
And it was anti-cop. It was anti-establishment.
Break the law.
They broke the law a little bit, but like they always were on the side of the underdogs, these guys. Like they always felt like they were socially justicely in the right place. They were never trying to hold anyone down.
Right. None of it made any sense.
Except Enos, you dipstick. That's just a phrase we always used to say. That's funny.
It was Enos and Roscoe. Roscoe was the original
Roscoe
guy.
P. Coltrane and Enos was his nephew when they're like, we need to add more to this.
More dummies.
I think we just like the fact that cars jumped off stuff. And in the middle of the air, they would freeze
frame, and then you have Waylon Jennings, who was a deep-voiced country western singer,
who we had no idea who he was.
Who was the narrator,
right? Them Duke boys are in a whole heap of trouble. Them Duke that we loved
that phrase. Them Duke boys. We loved the heap of trouble. We loved how big the heap was.
The suspense of how they're going to get out of this heap. How are they going to get out of the heap?
We were obsessed with the heap.
And then, of course, just to see them, the methods which they used to get out of said heap was to us fascinating as young kids.
That was the formula for why the show was fantastic.
We had Matchbox cars. We probably had the lunchbox. And maybe there was a little part of us that knew that we would never see anyone in our lifetime try and pull off a trick like that. Like, we never even saw someone drive off the road on grass. They drove on grass all the time. That was like regular. They didn't have roads in Hazzard County. They just drove on the grass up to Cooter's garage. He didn't have a road up there.
The guy's name was Cooter.
Cooter. The guy had a name that is another name for a woman's vagina.
Cooter.
I was going to say
Progressive.
Davenport.
Oh.
Well, this next story tugs at the Duke boys' heartstrings. Also, David Duke, Grand Wizard of the KKK, of our 11-year-old selves, and it's nuts. So buckle up and get ready to exit this story through the window because guess what? The doors don't open.
There you go.
A Michigan Daredevil launched his car over a rising drawbridge, Dukes of Hazzard style. This is what it said in the article. While he was allegedly high on whippets, according to reports. A Michigan Daredevil.
High on whippets.
What does that mean? Is it someone who... If you're a daredevil in Michigan, you either drink water straight from the tap in Flint.
Yeah. Or you jump cars off of drawbridges.
Trying to get an actual education at Michigan State University. These are things that you try.
You bet good money on Michigan beating Ohio State in football?
Yeah. Michigan Daredevil. Who's calling him that, by the way? His friends? His parents?
Why can't he just be a daredevil?
Is this the way he identifies?
Don't bring your state into it unless you start succeeding.
Miguel Gomez, 26 of Allen Park, was busted on new charges.
New charges?
Monday. What new charges? Maybe he is a daredevil. Maybe
he's the Michigan Daredevil. That's who he is.
Okay, so Gomez was arrested for pulling the wild stunt on the Fort Street Bridge in Detroit, said the Detroit News. He tried to drive over it?
I guess so.
It's Detroit, and I'm going to assume that not a lot of money has been put into bridge maintenance or repair. Okay.
That might be how you can get over this cross bridge.
Police
Guys, it stops a lot. You got to be a daredevil just to get to that part of town.
Police said Gomez was waiting across the bridge just as it was opening up around 7 p.m. on Wednesday. This is a day of partying up to this point.
I mean, you got whippets in you at that moment. It's
I don't
like,
know. Let's talk
that's an
about
impulse
that in
decision.
a second here. Stepped on the gas and accelerated the car through the security gate and into the air onto the other side. Through the security gate is probably what pissed everyone off.
Now we got to go get a new arm for this damn thing.
Or it's Detroit, so tape this arm back to the old thing.
Yes,
right.
yes.
It was actually like Dukes of Hazzard. He made it across, to the police dispatcher, comparing the scene to the 1970s TV show in which a Dodge Charger would often take flight and leap to escape law enforcement.
So now we know how old the officer is.
He's around 50.
He's our age.
He's our age. That's it. He could probably tell you how many times the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders were on Love Boat. We can. 13.
How many times was the devil on Fantasy Island? He knows.
Drawbridge operator Andre Locke, and this is a great quote that he read, said the bizarre scene was a first for him. Oh, really? This is a first for you, Andre Locke? And he said the Dukes of who? Because he was probably like 35 years old.
No way he knows.
I looked. I said, no, he ain't. Why does he sound like he's a character from the Dukes of Hazzard?
That should be on a T-shirt. I looked and I said,
no, he ain't. He sounds like Boss Hogg's cousin. Locke told the outlet, over he went, blew out all 4 tires. He's from Detroit. So
Over he went,
blew out all 4 tires, and then he crashed on the other side. Over he went.
He crashed into the other gate on the other side.
So now he's Yoda. Over he went.
Yeah, he's
he went.
Drawbridge Yoda.
Blew out where his tires. Crashed other gate, was it? I can't get a read on this guy for the life of me.
I don't know who
is
he is. I can't tell.
Gomez survived the dangerous stunt, but he wrecked his car, damaged the bridge, and ended up in jail. We call
That's the dumb trifecta.
There you go. Jumped the bridge, wrecked the car, broke the gate, and lost his girlfriend in the process. Kidding. This guy is no way.
There's no way someone's
not
in a
dating
relationship with this guy.
He was suspected of being under the influence of whippets, which we said before, can of nitrous oxide, which were found in his car. Now, whippets, we are told, is a very quick high.
Yes.
I did some research. A very quick high.
Yeah.
You get high, and then you're back to normal. So you have to
He must have done it and then
drove, but like, how do you have the reflexes? Like a whippet knocks you out. How do you have the reflexes to then take off?
I don't know.
I don't understand what he was high on. Like a whippet isn't like a high that you have for 5. It's not like eating pot. It's not like a high for 5 hours.
No.
You have to be, in order to pull that move off, you have to have all your senses about you.
Correct.
To fly over that bridge, make it the other side without dying. That's pulling it off right there.
Exactly.
Gomez faces charges of that include malicious destruction of property and reckless driving for the taking of a terrifying leap. Is that what it is? The Detroit News. Is it malicious destruction?
Malicious makes it sound so much more dark.
He wasn't trying to damage the security arm,
No,
was he?
He was trying to have fun.
Yeah. Get out of my way, security arm or else. He didn't have.
By the way, I've been in
out
downtown
for the
Detroit. That might be an upgrade, whatever he did.
Exactly. We'll call that security arm, collateral damage.
There you go.
Like Thanksgiving dinner last year when he tried to pull the tablecloth off and leave everything on. He had just
Some stuff's going to fall.
After he just did a plate of Special K. Something's going to fall off. He's not as adept as he thinks he is.
Correct.
These pandemic times have seemingly brought out the worst in many Michigan drivers, Wayne County prosecutor Kim Worthy said, the newspaper reported. Is that your statement, Kim?
Thanks, Kim.
This has brought out the worst in drivers? Like this type of thing happens all the time. What a dumb statement right there.
Road rage, I think, is the worst thing that would happen to a driver.
Yeah. Frustrations by the pandemic. That's what it brings out of you. But this
Guy's
is
just on whippets and he thought his car could fly.
Yeah. I think he would have done this whether it's a pandemic or not, right? Is this pandemic specific, Jay?
The pandemic has nothing to do with what this guy did.
You hear me, Kim with a Y? And I can't tell if you're a man or a woman, or you're a man who identifies as a woman, or a woman who identifies as a man. I don't care.
You're just wrong. How about that?
You should identify as wrong. The rules of the road are the same, and there is no place for drivers who refuse to follow them and instead try alleged stunts like this. Thanks for making that clear.
Didn't you know this guy's a daredevil?
He's a Michigan daredevil. Your rules don't apply to him, Kim. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison. That
feels way too long,
and could pay a fine of $10,000 or up to 3 times the amount of damage he caused on the bridge. The outlet reported. Did he cause damage to the bridge?
Or just the gate.
Right.
He didn't cause damage to the bridge.
He should have to
relax.
He should have to pay for the gate.
Fine,
but let the marks on the bridge be a reminder that the Michigan Daredevil can strike at any time.
Yes.
Just give him a whippet and an opening and he's gone.
All he needs is one whippet.
That's right. And a bridge that's starting to open. Gates be damned. All I can say, though, is that as soon as I read this sentence and the potential of 5 years in prison and $10,000 fine, I froze. And the whole thing froze, and I just heard Waylon Jennings' voice in my head. Well, this here Michigan Daredevil is in a whole heap of trouble. Looks like the only thing that could save him was the fact that all the whippet canisters in his car were still full. But can he prove that in a court of law?
We'll find out after this break. That's
y'all come back now. You hear?
Yeah,
that's what I heard in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Is that wrong?
I think it's wrong because if a guy whose last name was Gomez was ever found in Hazzard County, they would have killed him.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's a racist.
He would have hung.
Yeah.
All right, that's a show, guys. That is how we do it. It's Tuesday. I hope you guys are rocking this next week and doing your best. And it was just Yom Kippur. So if there's anything that we did that wronged any of you in this past year, we apologize.
We ask for your forgiveness.
And let's start out on a good new foot. We love you guys. Stay connected. Stay protected. Don't get infected. This is not a hoax.
But we got the jokes.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
La-ti-da, la-ti-da-ti-da-ti-da, la-ti-da.